Let's talk about complex number and quadratic equation. Now, this question can be solved using two different methods. So in this video, we're going to talk about the first method, and there is a separate video where I'm going to be talking about the second method. So we have to find two solutions of the following equation. The reason why two solutions, because this is a quadratic equation. Now, if I change that z to x to the power of 2 plus 12x plus 261 equals 0, isn't it? That's a quadratic equation. It's just z can be a little bit different. And then they are telling us that actually that z is a complex number. Okay, so that changes things a little bit. So one of the ideas that we can use is the fact that when we can consider a quadratic equation with a complex number in this form, z to the power of 2 minus sum of roots in bracket that is multiplied by z plus, and again here, product of roots equal 0. So that's the idea that we're going to be using in that first method. Now, we are not told about the roots. However, when we have coefficients that are real, coefficient, that means those numbers here that are in our quadratic equation, that are real numbers, not complex. Okay, so in our case, they are real, and there is no number in front of z to the power of 2. We can use the fact that that means that our two roots here is z and conjugate of that z. But we don't have it. But I can come up with general form. I know that the z is a plus bi, therefore the conjugate of that will be what? A minus bi, isn't it? That's the main idea of the conjugate. The real is the same, and the imaginary part changes the sign. So that means that this minus the sum of roots, which in our case is 12. So on one side of the equation, we are writing 12, and on the other side, we are writing minus, and then sum of our roots. So one root is a plus bi, and the other one, so plus, that means the sum we add in, the second root a minus bi. So here we have an equation that we can solve, isn't it? Okay, so let's work on that. Now, that minus here can be a little bit confusing. So I'm going to just multiply both sides by minus 1, and therefore I'm going to have minus 12, and just the bracket on the other side. So here we know that bi minus bi simplify, so that means I am left with what? 2a. If I want the value of a, which I do want, I divide both sides by 2. So that means minus 6 is my value of a. So I already have the value of a. Now let's go for the product. Product means what? Multiplication. So a plus bi multiply by a minus bi. And that equal, what's the equivalent of product in our equation? 261. Now, what do we have here? That is a multiplication of brackets that have the same elements. And what does the formula tells us? That when I have the same elements in brackets, difference plus and minus, it will equal to the first number to the power of 2 minus, the second number to the power of 2. So that means a to the power of 2 minus, and then bi to the power of 2. Now, there is a reason why I'm writing them in brackets, because it's b taken to the power of 2 and I taken to the power of 2. So that means I'm having minus b to the power of 2 and I to the power of 2. Now, what happens when I have I taken to the power of 2? Well, that has to be changed to minus 1, isn't it? So if we change that, so therefore I have a minus b, and then instead of I to the power of 2, I have minus 1. Well, that means I actually, what happened here? 261. So that means I have, I forgot about power of 2. So that means I have a squared plus b squared equal 261. Now, I know the value of a because I already saw that. That's minus 6. So that means I have minus 6 to the power of 2 plus b to the power of 2. Again, I don't know what's wrong with my pen today. It doesn't want to write the numbers I want. Equal 261. So that means b to the power of 2 equal 261. I take my number to the other side, change the sign to the opposite. And if I want b, what do? I take a square root of the other side of the equation. I put all of that in my calculator, press equal, and I have my answer. Now, b is equal 15 if we put that in the calculator. Now, the only thing we have to remember that it will be plus and minus 15. Because if I take plus 15 to the power of 2, I'm going to actually, let's find out what value is that under our square root. 261 minus, so that's actually what we have there is 225. So if I take 15 to the power of 2, I'm going to get 225. And if I take minus 15 to the power of 2, I'm going to get 225 as well. That's the reason why we consider both. So that means back to our solving this quadratic equation, value of a is minus 6. And then we have plus minus 15. Why? Because we have two of them. It's minus 6 plus 15 and minus 6 minus 15. That's one value of z, and that's the second, which is the conjugate of the first one, isn't it? So that's the first method. And then there is a second video where I'm talking about the second method.